Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon!
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it! The Ducks have won!
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions!
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Catch made! Touchdown, Oregon!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Welcome into the Country Financial Studio on a Monday. It's Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union, where people are the point. I'm Ryan Milano. I will be your host for today on Duck Insider. A weekend for Oregon football had a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and really the whole roller coaster of being in a great college football town and a great college sports town like Eugene. We got to talk about Saturday because there was a whole lot to like from Saturday, but I mean, I was there in Seattle. I know some of you fans were too. I know those who weren't were watching the game on their TV or listening to Jerry and Georgie over the radio. And, well, yeah, the result, not a win for Oregon. And it's never fun, obviously, when it's not a win for the Ducks. But I still think there was a lot of positive things to take away from Saturday's game. And I don't necessarily think that losses are the end-all, be-all, especially this early in the season. So I want to talk about this game on Saturday in the context of Saturday's football game against Washington, as well as in the context of the college football season moving forward. Because, like I mentioned, there was a lot to like in this football game. It was an instant classic of a game. The first time in 115 matchups in the rivalry between the Ducks and the Dogs, where both teams were top 10, and it showed. On Saturday, it was so clear that it was two top 10 football teams, and I think that might be underselling it. Could be top 5 football teams, could be top 4 football teams. There's a whole lot still to play for Oregon moving forward this season, even with one loss on their schedule, and a whole lot of opportunities to continue to move forward and get big wins moving forward down the line of the season. But on Saturday, it didn't go the Ducks' way. On the stat sheet, in a lot of ways, it seemed like it did go the Ducks' way. Bo Nix had a great game. He was 33 for 44, threw for 337 yards, 2 touchdowns, 75% completion percentage. It's like clockwork for Bo Nix. Game in and game out, you get almost identical stat lines. And actually, Oregon went up against the number 1 passing offense in the country, and they outthrew them on the football field. Talking about running the football, Bucky Irving in this ballgame, 22 carries, 127 yards and a touchdown. Jordan James, 11 carries, 63 yards and a touchdown. Both running backs averaged 5.7 yards per game. No drop-off in the depth chart from the running back position. Both were very effective. Oregon outgained Washington on the ground by over 100 yards. And in the receiving game as well, 2 big standouts from the wide receiver position. Troy Franklin, a legit wide receiver 1, number 11, 8 receptions, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Average about 20 yards per catch in this ballgame. And Tez Johnson, after a game against Stanford where he didn't have a reception, was heavily involved. 7 receptions for 71 yards. And on the defensive side of things, I thought there were a lot of standouts. Triquez Bridges especially came in after a few injuries in the defensive secondary, didn't skip a beat. And Dan Lanning, he's talked about strength in numbers all year. He'll talked about it after the game. We'll get to Coach Lanning in a second, along with a few other student athletes in Troy Franklin and Bo Nix in this post game. But when you look at the stats, especially individually and as a team, it seemed like Oregon had the slight edge against Washington in a lot of areas. But, of course, the fourth downs are going to be talked about in a big spot. There were 3 big fourth downs in this ball game, and you play the percentages, you think Oregon, well, they're probably going to get at least 1, probably 2, maybe even 3. Oregon came into the game converting on 80% of their fourth downs on the season. It's top 10 in the country, was first in the Pac-12. Dan Lanning has not been shy about going for it on fourth down this year. His coaching style has been aggression, and it has proved advantageous to Oregon a lot throughout Dan Lanning's time here with the Ducks. It didn't work out on Saturday. And I could give a lot of silver linings, but ultimately, when the Ducks play the Dogs, it's about the W, and, well, Oregon didn't get that this weekend, and it's a tough pill to swallow. It's a tough pill to swallow for me as a broadcaster. It's a tough pill to swallow for you as the fans. It's a tough pill to swallow for the football team. And, well, Coach Lanning, he talked with the media after the game. Going on the road, have a little bit of a different media setup, not quite as advanced as the Great Quack Video team has here in terms of the audio department, but still getting to hear from Coach and a few of the players. Might be a little bit more difficult to hear some of the questions, but I still think it's pertinent to hear from the coach after this game, and a whole lot of messages he had. Let's hear from Coach Dan Lanning.
All right, tough battle there. You got some guys hurt in that locker room. They really wanted that one. And, at the end of the day, they made a couple more plays than we made. There's some decisions we probably could have made differently. We battled to the end. I thought they showed some resiliency being down 11 and then coming back and pulling ahead. Tough finish. And it's a really good team. Credit to them. They created some explosive plays we thought we were going to be able to take away. Their quarterback's tough. We were able to get some hits on him, but he still completed passes. And they deserved a win with the way they played down the stretch and how they finished.
Those 2 fourth down calls inside the 10, why were they calls that?
Yeah, we felt, that was an opportunity for us to, get a touchdown. And a touchdown changes the game. And obviously, we're probably not talking about if we get a touchdown. That being said, the one before half is one where you really can go back and say, let's take that field goal. And it's something I'm going to assess, go evaluate for me. And we checked to see if we liked the look. We liked the look before we ran the play. We had a timeout if we didn't like the look. We liked the look, and we just didn't execute.
Felt like Triquez, when he came in, when Julio got hurt, did a really good job on Odunze up until that last drive. What, just with the sparse playing time this year, what gave you the confidence there to rely on him and for him to step up like that?
Yeah, we talk about strength in numbers a lot, and I thought there were several guys that stepped up. We got banged up a little bit there throughout the game, and we had guys that had to come in with limited reps and go out there and perform, and Triquez is one of them that fought and battled till the very end.
And 2:11 to go, why go for it there instead? What was the thought process and why ultimately choose to go for it?
Yeah, we felt like our defense was playing well, and we felt like we had an offensive play that was going to be successful. They covered it well. But at that point, they've proven to be an explosive offense regardless of where they get the ball, right? Whether it's, going the length. Obviously, they went there, twice in 33 seconds. They were able to score, gave ourselves the ball back with plenty of time to go score again. We know that honey hole for us is really a minute 40 seconds to a minute 20. We got it back with an opportunity to go score kind of in that window. But that being said, it didn't work. So obviously it'll be second guessed.
Your impressions of Bo today, obviously, losing effort, but the fact that he was able to bring you back and made that comeback for a little bit. Your impressions of Bo?
Yeah, he's just a warrior. The guy's a warrior. I mean, he battles every single time we step on the field. I thought he battled today. I thought he made some elite plays. At times he did some things with his legs that he hasn't had to do this season. He did really well. Really proud of his performance. I know there's a couple plays that he wants to have back, but I'll go to war with that guy any day.
After they scored early in the second half to go up 11, you shut them out until that final drive they had. So what were some of the things you maybe changed defensively in the at halftime that allowed you to shut them down for the most part in the second half?
Yeah, we just talked through some adjustments that we weren't executing properly. We made a couple different calls. Ultimately they were connected on some quick passing game. They were able to take advantage of us in some of the run game. We changed some of our fits there at halftime, and we're able to handle them a little bit better with those adjustments, and just didn't finish it off there at the end.
Dan, philosophically, obviously we've seen you go for fourth down a ton of times since you've been here, and it's worked a lot, but there have been some really high visibility situations where it hasn't in games last year and now this one. What is it about you as a coach that you want to go for those, and you want to go kind of, I guess, for the jugular on those plays, and then when there are games like this where it doesn't work, does that make you rethink your overall philosophy in the big picture sense at all?
Yeah, I think I'll always go back and evaluate myself, right, and say, okay, what can I do different? That being said, from a probability standpoint, how we felt about the looks that we were getting, we felt like we had a chance to have success in both situations, really, or all the situations today where we went for it on fourth. We had an opportunity to call a timeout if we didn't like what we saw. There was some confusion on the last play that was handed off. We actually had a check that didn't get checked or executed properly, so didn't get that mastered. But I'll certainly go back and evaluate myself, and it's about adapting. The game's about adapting and figuring out where you can be better. You take one of those field goals early on, right, and we are looking at probably a little bit different situation.
What's your conversation with Camden like? How do you keep his head up after a tough one like that?
Yeah, Camden's a winner, right? I trust Camden. I love Camden. That game never should have came down to that, right? It shouldn't have came down to that. And, ultimately that happens. It's a high-pressure situation. It's tough on a kicker, but he should not wear the blame on this. Certainly he has a job to do when he steps on the field. We've all seen Camden make that kick a million times, right? He didn't make it today. But again, a good team, and if we do the things that we can do, we might get an opportunity to face those guys again.
Kind of just full team. Emotional game, a big game. Next week you have another top 25 opponent. That's just the psyche of this team right now, the importance of flushing this play.
Yeah, our guys are hungry to get out there and get to go perform again, and we're going to be playing a lot of top 25 opponents the rest of the season, right? And it's a great thing about this schedule that we have. We got tested. I think we're going to learn a lot of things about our team throughout this week. I think we have phenomenal leadership on this team. We have guys that aren't going to quit, and they're going to come to work, and we're going to go attack it.
The margins in the Pac-12 this year are so razor thin, knowing that your destiny might not be in your own hands in this conference now. How does that feel?
Well, I think if we take care of business on the rest of our wins, our destiny is we absolutely control our destiny, right? If we win out, then we're going to put ourselves in a situation to be able to play for exactly what we think we should play for.
How would you describe Kansas play tonight? Just looking at that quarterback battle today, did you find yourself kind of taking that in? I mean, it was talked about going in and everything.
Yeah, he's a great player. I mean, he showed today, and like I said, he took some big hits and was still able to get up and perform. He utilizes his weapons well. He does a really good job, and it was fun seeing both those guys battle today. It was an epic game from that standpoint.
Dan, the last 2 years, the last couple of losses, rivalry games have come down to the very end. What does it take to get over the hump and win those games?
Yeah, we got to win in the fourth quarter. I think we did some things well there at the end, but you're talking about being at 3rd and 1 with an opportunity to get a yard, right? And really, you'd be in a potential victory situation, right? And getting that tough yard, got to find a way to get that tough yard, making sure we have the right call dialed up to be able to execute that. But we're close. We're right there. And that's something that it's 100% my responsibility. We're going to get accomplished, but we have the guys in that room to accomplish that.
Jordan James, someone who really showed something today. What did you see from his performance?
I thought in general the run game was really good today. We were able to move bodies. He ran really tough. Bucky ran really tough. Those guys fight for every inch and every yard. Did a really good job of that today.
Felt like you guys were able to stretch the field there in the second half to come back, hit a lot of deep shots. What was it, a new look they were giving you, or was it an emphasis to come out of the half to hit some of those and test them deep there?
Yeah, we wanted to be able to get the ball and stretch the ball down the field a little bit. They played a little bit tighter to the box there when we became a little bit more of a run-heavy team too, and that's where you have to be able to stretch them vertically, and we were able to connect on some of those.
Yeah, I mean, you just talk about this week learning a lot about yourselves without even having to look at the film, but what's one thing that's the most important thing to you that you want to get better at this week heading into another top 25 opponent this week?
Yeah, it's hard to answer that question without looking at the film. Again, I think execution is probably something that stands out. We're going to look back and see this small mistake, hurt us here. This small mistake hurt us here. We got to be able to go execute, and that's probably the number one.
Obviously, there's a lot of season left to play, and there's a lot of, like you said, top 25 opponents coming up. But how hungry do you think these guys are to maybe make it to Vegas and want to see these guys again and get another shot at them?
Well, the next game is the most important game, right? You don't put yourself in position to do that. These guys are hungry, right? They're hungry to go have success. There's no doubt about that. But it starts with the next game, right? It starts there. You can't start worrying about that now.
To go back to the 4th and 3, man, I understand playing the percentages. Certainly feel advantageous there. Because you analyze this stuff so deeply, if you punt and it's even a touchback, what is the percentage, what is the marginal difference of if they have to drive the field 80 yards with 2 minutes to go and no timeouts, you win 55, 60, 65, and you felt like you had a chance on that pass at 70-ish%? Like, what is the difference between those scenarios?
Yeah, there's a difference, right? And we played to the differences, right? They, again, I think we can all look back now and say, hey, you should have punted, right? If you get the 4th down, the game's over, right? We capitalize and finish the game. So they're an explosive offense. We don't necessarily know if there's a big difference in them from 75 compared to 50 yards with the ability they have to be able to put the ball down the field and stretch the field. We felt like it was more advantageous to be able to close the game out. Again, going back, you don't want to take the negative play on 3rd down, right? You want to be able to get, pushed it vertical and get the first down on 3rd and 1.
Are you pleased with the play calls in those spots, or just execution?
I'll have to go back and watch everything, but I thought both of our coordinators prepared, our guys to execute well. I think this game's 100% on me. Right? I don't think you guys got to look anywhere else besides me. I think every one of us can look and look at the decisions that were made today. And again, if you can make some of those decisions differently, like I said, if you kick the field goal before half, you kick the field goal somewhere else, then it could have been a different result. You never know how the rest of the game's going to play out, so you make those decisions based on the information you have.
The fourth down at the end of the half. You said you wanted to keep the timeout. Is that why you guys didn't run the ball when it was 30?
Yeah, that's the decision we talked about as a staff. Like, that's one where you love to be able to run it in. And I think if we went back and did it all over again, when you're in with the way we've been running the ball, you'd love to take an opportunity to run the ball there.
Dan, I know it's tough to look at your defense right now, but overall, how do you think they played overall, especially against Lanning?
I think they're an explosive team that we just played, and they're going to have some success. I thought they, were able to toughen up in the second half and execute the way we were asking them to execute and be able to execute the calls. I mean, you're going to go back and, again, see on film some miscommunication that hurt us in the first half. But overall, I thought those guys battled and they fought tough. He doesn't make it easy for you to have opportunities to get hands on him, and he does a good job throwing guys open and finding the open receiver. He did a really good job of that today. 2
of the receivers have 100-yard days. They've done that to a lot of people. How did you feel like your secondary matched up with them and any initial burn on Jaleel? Like right and wrist?
Yeah, I don't know yet on Jaleel. Overall, I thought there was a lot of guys that rolled in our secondary for us today, and I thought our guys, battled. There's some of those battles we want to have back, right? They made some phenomenal contested catches where, hey, that's good coverage. Their guy made the play. And then there's some times where we were able to break it up. You hope at the end of the day, we did feel like you have to have bodies on bodies on these guys to be able to break some of those up, and they won more of those battles today.
Yeah, it's sort of the same questions about Troy and what he gave you guys today, especially that 49-yarder to kind of spark the offense. Just what did you make of his performance overall?
Yeah, from what I saw from Troy, I thought he battled, from the beginning of the game all the way to the very end. Worked his ever-living tail off to give us a chance to have success.
That's Oregon coach Dan Lanning. Head coach interviews brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Dan Lanning talking about the opportunity going forward throughout the season with a lot of ranked matchups still on the schedule. Well, we have a kick time for one of them. 2 weeks from now on the road against Utah. Another 12:30 kick. I know that's good news for some, bad news for others. I really like a 12:30 kick. Game will be televised on Fox October 28th in Salt Lake City. Another primetime game for Oregon directly in the middle of college football Saturday. There are a few teams that are really telling the story of this college football year. The Ducks are absolutely one of them, and you can tell by whenever Oregon gets one of those premier kick times, at least premier compared to the rest of the country. I know that preparations for the games, we'll say, for some of you Oregon fans might be a little bit altered by a 12:30 kick. But 12:30 against Utah. It's also going to be 12:30 next week against Washington State. They fell out of the top 25, but still a team receiving votes. Still another tough game. That's coming up at Autzen on Saturday. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, hearing from some of the players post-game, Bo Nix and Troy Franklin, after this on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My name
name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. The Ducks on Saturday fell to Washington in what was a real heavyweight battle. It felt like it was right hook after uppercut, back and forth. Both teams down. Both teams looked like they were going to surely win the game, and then there was a comeback from both sides, and really it came down all the way down to the wire, and, well, that's part of a great football game. Didn't go the Ducks' way on Saturday, but still a lot of football left and still a chance for Oregon to control their own destiny throughout this college football season. Just talked with Dan Lanning. Now we're going to talk with some of the guys post-game, Bo Nix and Troy Franklin. Here's the quarterback after the game.
What was the play call, and can you walk through the execution of it?
We tried a sprint out, switch route, and they did a good job of covering it.
Bo, when you talked to Penix after the game, what was your message?
I got a lot of respect for him. He's got to play the position like I do. He took some shots and he hung in there, and I think he just plays really well. I think he's one of those guys that's always consistent. He just does what he's supposed to do. I have a lot of respect for him.
A game that comes down to just a couple moments here and there. How hard is it not to second guess that?
Oh, it's hard. I'm my biggest critic, I think Coach Lanning's the same way. You can look back and go, slow the film down. I wish we wanted almost everything that didn't go right back. But that's part of football. We're a play away from winning that game, and that's part of it.
Well, just with everything, the emotional energy that goes into this game, you guys got to turn right back around with this top three team. How do you keep this team up during this week? It's obviously.
Well, that's just part of the season. That's college football. There's quick turnarounds. We've got a full week to prepare and get better. And we don't have time to hang our heads, and we're not going to. But I'm excited to see us respond.
Dan's shown an aggressiveness throughout both seasons here. In these rivalry games, some of that aggressiveness has come back to bite you guys. When you go for it there at the end of the first half, when you go for it there 2 minutes to go, it goes against you. Talk about second guessing. How fair do you think some of the criticism is going to be here of these decisions? Not just because of outcome, but because maybe you guys should have punted, maybe you guys should have taken a field goal before you.
I think it's unfair because the past game, should we have punted when we got it? Probably not. So you can't go back and second guess it. Wish you did something different. It's part of coaching. It's part of football. You can't expect everything to go your way. I just think that's part of the game.
Bo, I think this was your 52nd start today. You've played a lot of football. I know that not coming out on the winning side of this one, it's probably hard to see kind of the force to trees in that. But this was like an instant classic of a football game. What's the emotion of coming out of something like this and trying to kind of put it all together for yourself?
It's frustrating. It's tough, the outcome. Like I said, it could have been so much different, but they did a good job when it mattered. Played really good defense at the end. They scored when they were supposed to score. And you play long enough, you'll be on this end of the game.
You feel like a lot of eyeballs in this one. Do you feel like this offense showed what it's capable of on that stage?
Yeah.
first half, it seemed like you were kind of content to take a lot of underneath stuff and some short routes, and then it seemed like you guys got the deep game going second half. Were there any specific adjustments you made at halftime to kind of get things going more after you got down 29-18?
No, I think it was just part of the flow of the game. We definitely wanted to run the ball early, and that's what we began to do. And then once that started opening it up, the pass game, we felt comfortable with doing that.
So how aware are you or not, and how much of a motivation is it if you are aware of your record against top 10 teams on the road in your career? And how is that going to sit with you? If you're nodding your head, I'm sure you do know.
What is it?
0-7.
Okay, you said top 10 teams?
On the road.
Can you name the teams?
Going back to your Auburn days, yes, obviously Georgia and Alabama for several of them. I believe Ole Miss was one, and now this is the second or third here.
There's a lot of good football teams I'm playing.
Why is this team built to withstand this and move forward again?
Well, if you watch the game, it was clear that we responded. It was clear that we attacked it head on. And like I said, we're a play away from this conversation being extremely different. So, I'm proud of those guys. I'm happy for them. I got their backs. And I can't wait to respond for this one.
The margins in this conference are so razor thin this year. Just knowing that you're not in full control of where you guys want to be at the end of the season, how does that feel?
We are in control. We can go out and win out and put ourselves in a really good spot. And that's all we can, control, and that's all we really have to control. That's, like I said, it's frustrating to lose a game like this. It's no fun to be on this side. It's easy to go back and, we should have done this and we should have done that. But point blank, period, there's only one person in that position, that's Coach Lanning. And there's one group of, there's an offense and a defense, and that's who went out there and played today. And sometimes you put it all out there and it's not enough, and it's frustrating. But that's part of life. Sometimes in life you're going to get knocked down, you may get fired from a job, you may lose a sale, but I hope that doesn't stop you from going out there and trying to sell something else. So this is a great learning lesson for us. There's a lot more to life than football games, I know that for sure. And tomorrow the sun will come up. God is still good, and I'm just here to be an influence to other people, be a light around me, and if I got to use football to do that, then I'm going to do the best I can with it. And a lot of people, they want to see how we respond, and I'm excited for that. I think that's the challenge that I can't wait for, and this group is going to be able to write its own story, write its own journey, and I think if it was easy, everybody would do it. If it was if there was no failures, then everybody would be playing football, So I think that it's part of it. You win and lose. You go out there and play your best. You go out there and enjoy the process. And even though I hated the outcome of today, it was one heck of a football game that I loved playing. And I'll lose with those guys any day because I know what they've put into it. And I know everybody can nitpick it all they want. But y'all don't see us on Tuesday and Wednesday practicing either. And y'all don't see what kind of passion and fire we play with. And so I think it's definitely unfair to critique and nitpick those guys in that locker room, and even our coaches who do an incredible job of preparing us each and every week and getting us ready to play. And you go out there and you do your best to win the game. Sometimes you lose, and that's part of it. And I'm proud to be an Oregon Duck. I'm proud to be here. I'm proud to play with this locker room. I'm proud to play for these coaches, and it means a lot to me. And I'm not going to quit on them, and I know they're not going to quit on me. And so we have a lot to play for as the season goes on. And, I think it's a challenge that I'm, built for. And, I think I was just put in this position for that. And that's what I'm going to do. Thank y'all.
I loved that answer by Bo Nix. That last answer by Bo Nix I thought was tremendous. Just a few things that I took away from it. You may lose a sale. I hope that doesn't stop you from going out and selling again. And that's the mentality of this Oregon team. Washington, it's already in the past. There's still a lot of football left to play for, and that's a really darn good football team. there's still a lot of work to do, and there's still a whole lot of season left. We're still talking about this Washington game, and Bo Nix's number one receiver, Troy Franklin. A lot was made about Washington receivers in this matchup, and the Washington receivers had a day too, but Troy Franklin had one of the better days on college football Saturday. He was tremendous and came up with a few big plays and a few big spots. Here is the wide receiver, Troy Franklin, postgame.
Troy, you've had your two most productive games of your career against these guys, and they both ended losses. How do you feel after this one where you have the kind of performance you do, and yet it's another heartbreak?
It's just one of those like weird feelings, like, we thought we had the game in our hands, and we just didn't finish, so
as a team, how do you guys try and pick Camden up after this? Obviously, the whole result doesn't come down to him.
Exactly, yeah. Just kind of letting him know that it's like not all his fault, It's football, things like that happen. It's unfortunate that he missed it, but, it's just definitely not all his fault. The offense had the ball. I mean, we could have definitely closed it out with the new or something, but we just didn't execute.
First half it seemed like Bo was going to a lot of short, kind of underneath stuff, and then you guys were kind of able to stretch the field more second half. What were some of the adjustments, if any, that you guys made in the second half to kind of get the deep passing game going?
Just noticing that they were kind of sitting on routes at first, like the first half, After that, we just kind of, got back to the sideline, talked about how they were playing things, and then, just started running past them and stuff like that, so. Yeah.
The game came down to some fourth down plays, close plays. Do you let yourself second guess if those are the right decisions to go there? Do you trust the coach? I guess
Yeah, I think I trust our coaches, our players. We do it all the time, if we need it, if we need us to go, if it's like a down that we need, so most definitely I trust our guys.
Similar to the fourth downs, is that something you guys want as the offense, to have the ball in your hand to try to win the game?
If it's in the right situation for our sequence, yeah.
Similar to those last two, but you had a couple years with Dan now. Does it ever surprise you when he does go for fourth down in those situations tonight? Were you surprised today? Were you surprised with any of those fourth down calls for him?
I think I kind of know him as a coach now a little bit, playing with him my second year and stuff. And we emphasize situations a lot, so I kind of just know, yeah.
How would you describe Bo in the huddle today? Listening to him last day as well. What was it like? That perspective, seeing him work, and what was it like?
I see it all the time, He's a confident guy letting us know that we got it, things like that, so, yeah.
Do you feel like from your perspective or the player's perspective that there's a big difference between you and Washington? Was there something that maybe stood out today that you noticed, or do you just think that you guys are two really good teams and they just came out on top today?
Can I get the first part one more time? Sorry.
Is there any difference? Do you feel like there's any difference between you or Washington, or do you feel like they just maybe got lucky today, and maybe if you play tomorrow, you might win?
I think most definitely they, they're a good team. They did their job, they got the win. We just didn't execute on some plays that we needed to, so, yeah.
This league is loaded with good teams.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of having to get over this quickly so it doesn't bite you. Again, you're another top 25 team next week.
Mm-hmm.
Just where's this team's psyche right now?
Where's what?
This team's mindset right now.
Oh, I mean, on to the next game. We're ready to go, for sure, so.
On top of that, how do you, as a leader of this team, kind of try and pick your guys up and make sure that yes, this one hurts right now, but kind of...
It's kind of letting them know that, like, it happens, we just didn't execute and finish the game, and that we have another opportunity next week to go out there and do that, so.
After games like this, sometimes teams can use it as not just motivation in general, but like, you guys could play them again in a conference championship. But if you focus on that too much, I suppose you could lose sight on the next opponent. Do you want to use this in that way? Do you personally channel it in that way, where you say, like, the drive now is to get to that championship game and play these guys? Do you want that, or just worry about what they next and time?
I mean, I don't really know how, like, that stuff will work. I mean, they would have to make it too, things like that, there's still a season left. We're just focused on us right now, then who else we got next week, so handling all that stuff will, get us there.
That's Troy Franklin postgame after a big game in the loss against Washington. We don't have enough time to run Jeffrey Bossa, but I just want to go over one of the answers that he said, talking about him and his defense and moving forward. He said, especially me being a leader for the defense, there's going to be a lot of pressure put on me. I love the pressure, and I love the challenge. It's going to be on me to get these guys right. It's only week 6. We've got a whole season ahead of us. That is from one of the leaders of the defense, Jeffrey Bossa, and I think that's the perfect way to turn the page on Washington and into Washington State. We're going to take a timeout. Coming up next, we're completely turning the page. Oregon soccer head coach Graeme Abel live in the studio next. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider here in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Ryan Milano joined by Oregon soccer coach Graeme Abel in the studio. How are we, Coach?
Good.
Coach, I have to apologize because 2 weeks ago, before you went on the road, you were talking about your favorite road trip snack and how you get prepared. You're going on the road this weekend, and I was going to get you some Swedish fish for the trip. And I forgot on my way to the studio, and I just want to apologize. I didn't get it for you.
That's okay. I'll make a room when we're on the road and pick some stuff up.
You can like reimburse it to me. It can come out of pocket. No, but Coach, your team this weekend at home against Arizona State. I want to talk about this matchup because your team didn't get the win. It was a 2-0 loss, but for the first 80 minutes, it was 0-0, and really for the entire contest, it felt like against a ranked Arizona State team, your team had a lot of the chances, especially early in this one.
Yeah, I mean, we've played in good spells in I'd say 90% of the games this season that we've been okay. That's the team we envision, and this was probably the first game that we probably put together. I think the first half of the game, outside of maybe 5-6 minutes, we were really dominant within the game. Probably producing 4 to 5 legitimate goal-scoring opportunities that, when we look back as a group, we're like, okay, we need to be putting away 3 or 4 of those in terms of the ball going in the back of the net. And so, yeah, I mean, we've spoke numerous times about learning moments, and, I think this was a cruel one from the standpoint of we've done what we've needed to from a performance standpoint, and then to let it get to, I think, what was the 82nd, 86th minute and stuff like that, and concede 2 goals, and again 2 preventable goals. Was tough, but like we said to the kids after the game, it's the overall level of the performance was terrific and was excellent, and so many good individual performances, and against a really good team. So, again, pleased from that standpoint. Now to put the cherry on the top of it and start putting the ball in the back of the net.
And for a lot of the season, it had been sort of, how does your team create those type of opportunities? Your team created a lot of those opportunities where they had the chance to score. Set pieces were at a high for the season in this one. You had a lot of shots on goal, larger than your normal clip. It felt like your team had a lot of chances this weekend, and you created a lot of chances to score against Arizona State, in particular in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of it was determined by we're much better in possession of the ball, so we were able to sustain possession further down the field. I think, I've spoken about that a number of times. About it's one thing to have the ball in possession in your half of the field. It's another thing as you move further down the field and be able to do that under control. I thought we did that really, really well, and then we set up positionally that when the ball came out, we were able to stop them higher up the field, closer to their goal as opposed to close to our goal, and then restart the attacks from there. So did a really good job with regards to that. Set pieces, yeah. I mean, all of that goes into it because the more you're in their half of the field and they're defending third, obviously the more opportunity you've got to try to serve balls, try to put balls into the 18-yard box. That puts pressure on their back four, puts pressure on their goalkeeper, and then creates those goal-scoring opportunities and set pieces. So it all goes hand in hand.
You said something after the game in your post-game that I wanted to touch on, and you said that your team and your game plan against Arizona State was brave. In terms of the bravery aspect of it, what does that mean? How does it manifest itself on the field? And sort of what is that bravery that you saw this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when we all watch teams, teams will sit off of teams, and, we went right up and tried to defend them higher up the field, and, they've probably got the best goalkeeper in the league, and as good as there is in a top goalkeeper in college with her feet, where she becomes an extra outfield player for them. So being able to kind of set that piece up and defend higher up the field and try to win the ball back higher up the field, I thought we caused them a lot of problems in the first half. Created a couple of goal-scoring opportunities out of that. They were able to play the ball into the 18-yard box quickly. That we had, like I said, opportunity to score there as well. But again, just being brave on the ball and having confidence on the ball, and that's where I give our kids so much credit. Where we could have gotten to this part of the season, we could just be thumping the ball down the field because they don't want to have possession of the ball, but they didn't. They got on possession of the ball. They played. They played out of pressure. They held the ball up in higher areas. Got players to support underneath, and when we're able to do that, it lessens how much running we're able to do. And so then when the opposition do have the ball and they've got it kind of off goal kicks, when their goalkeeper has it, gives you more energy then to try to defend higher up the field. So again, it all goes hand in hand.
And I want to talk about two players in particular that seemed like they had a more efficient game or more opportunities in the game against Arizona State. Both Ryan Reynolds and Cameron Bourne, two youngsters, two freshmen, and it seems like their role is continuing to expand and they're continuing to get more opportunities throughout contests as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cam in particular put so much pressure on, because she's played a lot of minutes real early on, and we've kept on playing and playing, so she can get those moments and learn. And yeah, she looks super fresh. I mean, we've dialed back a little bit in terms of practices to allow them to recover a bit more and get a little bit more energy in their legs. And yeah, Ryan was really unfortunate because as we entered Pac-12 play, she was dealing with some sickness and stuff like that, so she was away from us for a little period of time just while she was able to recuperate and stuff like that. So yeah, Ryan is a incredibly talented woman in terms of in and around the 18-yard box as a pure goal scorer. Maybe our most talented player in the 18-yard box in terms of different techniques, and her dad's a coach and dad does a lot of different technical work and things like that, so she strikes a ball purely really good in the air. So yeah, both of those guys, both from the same club team actually as well, so both of those guys had a really, really good weekend.
I want to talk about sort of this point in the season. Team hasn't gotten a win yet. That can be tough, but it seemed like each of the last 3 weeks, we've talked about how each week has sort of been the best week of the season, and the team continues to build. Take me sort of into the post game after a game like Arizona State, where you're competitive against a ranked team, and you're going up against a team that is very solid in the Pac-12 and has a very strong record, and you're going toe-to-toe against them. Take me into that sort of post game, and what is it like for a team that is showing good signs but hasn't yet gotten in that win column?
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, I think you take the coaching points, and what's great about our kids is, we can show them the video, they'll nail 9 out of 10 of the points right away in terms of what needs to happen. So they know the information. It's one thing in terms of executing the information, in terms of what needs to happen. But then, I think I've said this multiple times on various outlets, and it's accentuating what the good is, because there's a lot of it there, and we just need to continue to do more of that. So continue to show the positive pictures. And, I think I don't know what the split is of, what the positives are, negatives and things like that, but there's certainly more positives than negatives being shown, because that's what we believe in. We believe in the positives, and, we see what is good about our team and what can be great about our team, and to continue to push that piece.
Let's talk about next weekend. Going on the road, Cal on Thursday at 2, Stanford on Sunday at 12. What are the keys against the Bay Area schools?
Both really good programs. Obviously, Stanford, history there, obviously, but obviously, Cal as well. And so it's continue to build upon this weekend, continue to build upon that performance, and can we continue to spend more time in our attacking third, the opposition's defending third, and now can we be more clinical in the 18-yard box when we get these opportunities? Let's take these opportunities now and get even more control of games.
Graeme, Abel, his team is going down to Northern California to play Cal and Stanford coming up this weekend. Coach, your team continuing to build. Let's hope for another building weekend this weekend, and another continuing to expand on some strong results against the California schools.
Definitely. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We are going to take a timeout on Duck Insider, and what we didn't get to last week, the unveiling of the new golf facility, the Jake, hearing from some of the golf head coaches. Next on Duck Insider from the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear roads, trails, and rivers. Ready for some SUV action? Drive family adventures with the Highlander. Make a splash with the RAV4. Or haul fun with a Sequoia. Check them at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Into the building for the first time after the shooting. It was crippling, but it had to be preserved.
In response to the Pulse nightclub shooting that affected the LGBTQ community, Barbara Poma, owner of Pulse, founded the One Pulse Foundation to honor Pulse victims and survivors.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart. It is the power of love in its rawest form.
Join the fight for LGBTQ acceptance. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union, where people are the point. Here in the Country Financial Studio, I'm Ryan Milano. I said that we were going to hear from both golf coaches. We're not going to have time to hear from both, so we'll save Derek Radley, keep that in the vault for a later date. But I do want to talk with Coach Casey Martin after the new unveiling of the Jake, a new facility for both the Oregon men's and women's golf programs that it just looks so cool. If you haven't seen what the Jake looks like, go on socials, check it out. Great new facility. But let's hear from the unveiling, Coach Casey Martin and his thoughts on the new facility.
Same thing. Is there any piece of technology or one part of the building that really gets you excited, that really you're super excited was part of this?
Well, I think the whole building made a lot of sense, and there's numerous parts to it. As I spoke about the swing catalyst, when they use the pressure mats, I think we were tutored on that a couple weeks ago, and I think it already paid dividends in just learning about how different swings, how you generate power efficiently, and there's a number of different ways to swing a golf club, and that really gets under the hood, so to speak. It's not the fluff stuff that you see, it's really how you hit a golf ball. I love that stuff, trying to find ways to help guys and uncover. This game is so difficult that if you can get a little bit of edge, it can really help. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about just sitting here and just enjoying the beauty and being able to be outside and be comfortable. I mean, Oregon's weather, we'd get a lot of great days, but then, in the winter, it can be tough. And so just to be able to give the kids a reprieve and give them a chance to continue to get better and know when they come to Oregon, they can work to become the best they can possibly be and not be hindered by the elements is really huge. So excited about that. Yeah, go ahead.
How much do you think this will help recruiting?
I think so. I mean, Derek and I both, we're trying to recruit the best players, and we're recruiting at schools that have facilities and golf courses and sunshine all the time. And so this helps. You still have to build that relationship, but certainly it solves a major question and concern with a lot of the recruits to have a building like this. So super thankful to have it.
Yeah, just the facility itself. We've talked about the technological aspects, like how many of the teams you're up against either had all or some of those things, or how much of this is unusual for college teams these days, or?
This is not that unusual. The elite teams have had this kind of stuff for a while, maybe not as nice as this building is, because it's really beautiful. Jeff did an amazing job in building it, and we're so fortunate. This is not just kind of a shack at the end of the driving range with some technology. It's a really weighty, awesome, well-built building, which means a lot, and it's going to be here for a long time, and so that part is amazing. The facility is amazing, but also what it's going to mean for the team, just that have a sense of community before you're huddled under umbrellas on rainy days, and this just gives the kids a chance to connect and feel more like a team, which is going to be so huge as a coach to see that and reap those benefits. Whether it translates to more birdies, hopefully it will, but it will definitely translate to a better experience for the kids.
Any part of you jealous, envious that these kids had this now and you did not have this growing up?
Nobody had something like this growing. This is very much very new. Not jealous, just really happy that we can provide this. Oregon's, like you said, been the front runner in the facilities game for a long time, and so and we've been so fortunate. We have great golf courses to play. When you're talking Shadow Hills and Eugene Country Club and Emerald Valley, we've got elite golf courses, but now we've got a facility. You can't play golf every single day. You need a place to let your hair down and get better, and this is going to allow us to do that.
That is Oregon men's golf head coach Casey Martin after the unveiling of the Jake, an awesome new facility. We've got to get our final timeout, and there's still a whole bunch to talk about, so don't go anywhere. It's Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the Lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union here in the Country Financial Studio. It is time for the Cafe Yum 2-minute drill, serving fresh food fast with organic and local ingredients. Enjoy a famous Yum Bowl at 23 Cafe Yum restaurants throughout the Northwest, home of the Ducks. We're starting in the WNBA. Two former Ducks, pro Ducks, Satu Sabli and Sabrina Ionescu, all WNBA teams. Satu getting on the first team, Sabrina getting on the second team. Sabrina's Liberty, along with the Las Vegas Aces, just helped set a WNBA Finals attendance record with 17,143 in attendance. The growth of women's sport is great, and some Oregon faces at the helm there. And Sabrina Ionescu with her team up against the brink, down 2-1 in the best of 5, trying to stave off elimination on Wednesday night. In the cross-country realm, Oregon just finished up the 23 pre-nationals in Charlottesville, Virginia. Junior standout Maddie Elmore turned in a runner-up performance on Saturday, and the Ducks, on the team side of things, finished 4th with a few ranked teams in the mix as well, where Oregon placed 5 inside the top 40 for 117 points. The postseason, it's already postseason time. It begins October 27th with the 2023 Pac-12 championship in Washington, which will air on the Pac-12 networks when that starts. For fall softball, the next fall softball game is coming up this Wednesday at 5:30 versus Western Oregon. It is free for the public, free admission, toy drive, new and unwrapped toys. Bring them, be there. That'll be a whole lot of fun. And volleyball, important scheduling note. The Sunday match was supposed to be at noon. It is moved because it will be on ESPN. So now a 5:30 volleyball match against Stanford. Big stuff coming up. Joey will break it all down with Matt Ulmer tomorrow. We'll see you, everybody. Have a good one. Go Ducks.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to